Diddly-dum-dum, British Strongman podcast. So the last two episodes we have covered the axle in depth, the squat a little bit more in depth last week. We've had some good feedback from, the last week that we did. So the progression is going to be, we'll talk about how to build a killer grip specific for improving the time on a 30-second farmer's hold. Because obviously we both coach people who are doing the English qualifiers. People listening to this will do the England Strongest Man qualifier, and I am a massive fan of everybody who, in my opinion, everybody who pays the official Strongman subscription should be just putting an entry in. It doesn't matter what weight you are, what class you compete in, whether you're novice, inters, whatever. Just fucking throw your name into the hat, and like you've got a free competition that you pay no extra money for, where you get to pit yourself. You get a stake in the ground against some really top guys. Like, does it matter that? Go on.
Yeah, something to train for.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and just having that thing where you need to do that thing in your program where you're like, right, I'm gonna really push that this week or this training block or whatever. And they're all things that are gonna, when you phase them out, like if you do this phase of like farmer's hold, squatting, and axle, when you get better at them in this training block, you phase them out, your log's gonna feel good from the axle work, from improving your cleans, you're gonna feel explosive, from going over to farmers and frame carries in later in the year or whatever, are gonna feel better from improving your grip. So I think if you're paying a subscription on official Strongman, like do it and get your name above it. It's just great for everybody, because you get your stake in the ground of like in like a comp condition kind of motivation wise to push it. It's great for those people who are maybe a little bit, you're not quite confident enough to compete or whatever. You're not quite confident enough to do your first comp yet or your next comp. Like, so why don't you do a competition format in your own gym or with your mates at your place, or you don't want to travel for a comp or whatever. Just do it at your local gym and have a bit of fun with it, and get a stake in the ground, as I say. Like, I'm having a bit of fun doing it. I've put squatting for back squatting for the last 4 weeks or whatever, and it's been, you know what, it's been fucking good fun.
You've been doing raw.
Yeah, I've been doing my raw squats, two suits, 3 sets of briefs, 2 pairs of knee sleeves with 10-meter wrap on top.
10-meter.
Look like a fucking mummy and I'm walking it out. But yeah, it's good fun, and surely like I'm working at a level on that, putting it in once a week that I'm recovering well from, and everything else is going up. So it's not going to harm me, is it? If like getting a bit more skillful with the wraps on the suit and doing a bit of squatting and stuff.
Yeah, if you're
say again.
If people are already signed up to it, just get an entry and have a little bit of a training block. Only needs to be 3 or 4 weeks long. Don't need to be crazy, and pop an entry in. And
yeah.
The farmer's hold especially, it's so easy to set up. It takes 2 minutes to do, and you'll have so much carryover to your any grip event really coming out of it when you phase it out, like you say. So yeah, get it fucking done.
Yeah, that's it. And also another thing, a little bugbear that I saw, I think it was on like official Strongman Instagram or something, and someone was saying like the same old thing. As soon as there's something that's pretty good, like people say, oh, why is it not like this, or why is it not, or like people saying, oh, why is there not weight classes or whatever. Like, this is an open comp. This is for everybody. Yeah, and it's just obviously the best people. It doesn't matter what fucking weight you are. If you're strong enough, you'll get through. Like, you know. Yeah, exactly. Like, instead of just, oh yeah, well, we should have an under 80s class, under 90s class, under 105s or whatever. Like, there's plenty of stuff going on where you can compete in that lane. Why don't you just, this is an open level comp. This isn't open in terms of open weight class, like you have to be over a certain weight to do it. It's just if you're fucking strong enough. So, and to do it in the format that they've laid out, everybody is strong enough to go and do it. So
yeah, I've got an opens comp on the weekend as well. I'm under 90, aren't I, Josh? Walk around at 90 kilo, bang on.
Yeah,
savage.
Brilliant, mate. Well, I'm hoping to do. I was going to say between me and you then, but then I realised we were fucking podcast that we publish. But I'm going to.
Be me, you, and twins then, our two listeners.
I'm hoping to do. I'm going to decide this week. I'm going to do the Scotland's Strongest Man qualifier as a.
The Scotland's Strongest.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Well, I've asked if I can do it as a guest speaker, and go and do it as a guest, like open weight class. What is it like? What I think it's 135 barbell for reps, 300 deadlift suited on a deadlift bar. So that'd be a good goal to get back to that. But even even if I sit that out, I'm not bothered. I think it's 370 yoke into chain drag. So 370 yoke I'll be confident with. Stone run 120 to 180. So it'd be good to maul myself with that. And then
to be honest.
There you go.
They're pretty good events for you, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, and what was the other one? What was the other one? Barbell. Oh, and then like a sandbag medley, 100 to 140. So like for someone like me, if I can go and like say, I should be able to do 4 events out of the 5, but you know, like it'd be amazing if I could get deadlift back up to 300 or whatever, pull a single at that, and you know, compete. Just I suppose like as an opportunity to compete against some fucking really good guys. Do you know what I mean? It don't matter that there's a high chance that I'll probably finish last, but no. There's so much experience that can be gained from stuff like that, in my opinion. But going back to the England online qualifier, like everybody can do that. But anyway, so call me out if it comes round and I haven't entered it or whatever. Anybody welcome to. Yeah, so let's talk about farmers' holds and let's give some value instead of talking about our fucking selves. So let's go for 3 top tips on these farmers' holds or developing your grip. And let's go like a bit outside the box. I've got one that's outside the box actually. Let's go with you, Shane. I'm putting you on the spot because I've come up with a topic, mate. So,
well, I've been changing the way I train grip all the time for years. And by train, I mean not me, because I don't really do it myself. I have started though, but with clients, I mean. And the one thing that I have decided on that is just, and I've spoke to a lot of grip guys about this as well. I feel like this is pretty much fact for most people. I mean, there's obviously going to be that outlier, but frequency is king with grip. So I don't think you need to do a shit ton of volume. I don't think you need to do a shit ton of work. But if you've got bad grip, you should be doing something every single training session to improve it. And if you had a short period of time to put a farmer's hold in, like a good score, you want to be doing something every single training session. So simple things, simple additions that you can just do and be consistent with and aren't going to affect anything. Like passive hangs are the most simple, easy thing to add in. You could do a couple of sets of passive hangs one day. You could do lighter farmer's hold for extended periods of time on one day, and then you could do heavier farmer's hold from a high pickup so you're not fatiguing your back for a low amount of time another day. And then maybe you could just throw some double overhand axle deadlifts in with a hold, or double overhand deadlifts in with a hold on your deadlift day or something. But adding a little tiny bit each day, instead of having like a grip day where you go and do everything on one day. I find that your grip fatigues pretty quick, so you can't perform. You know, if you do 5 exercises in a row, you're not going to do too well after a little while because your grip's going to fatigue and you're going to need to take quite a long rest time, which is why I find doing a little bit every single day is better than lumping it all together. So I would just say point number 1, I would say, is go with frequency over a shit ton of volume on your grip, because you must obviously, you got to remember, like your wrist extensions and flexors and stuff, they're quite small little intricate muscles, you know what I mean? They don't need a lot of stimulus to get an adaptation, and if you just keep hammering them, you're probably going to end up with some kind of like tendonitis issue in your forearm / bicep if you just do too much. So like I say, a little tiny bit frequency and stay away from the crazy volume.
So yeah, I'll add to that. So still sticking on the same point, like I'm a massive fan of frequency regardless of exercise anyway. Like I'm a massive fan of like rotating intensity, so you can train whatever event multiple times a week. But obviously a limiting factor is that really it's not practical for a lot of people to train, say you're doing farmers or whatever, to train like farmers walk or yoke 3 times a week, light, medium, heavy, because you don't have the access to it or whatever. Whereas in reality, with the grip, it's actually really convenient to set up, and it's one of those exercises that is like kind of small muscle groups, and like you're not going to need like a massive global warm up and warm up loads of joints. It's not like warming up for, say, a squat. If you have to, like, say you have to manage your knees and stuff like that, and you manage your hips and you manage your back or whatever, you're just gonna have to do loads of warm. It might take you a while to warm up to your top set on squat, for instance. Whereas, so if you're doing this like 3 to 4 times a week, obviously that's going to come at a cost in terms of your whole training time. Whereas with the grip stuff, like I think you can put stuff in, like Shane says, using good examples there. Think about how you can tick off this kind of frequency box that Shane suggested, but without like really changing your training program much. So like Shane said, on the deadlift day, like I'll often put people in like double overhand warm-ups and stuff with a as the warm-up sets with a hold on the last set of the double overhand. Just go into like pushing the grip a little bit, and they're getting a little stimulus there. It might be, say, after squat day, for instance, after your squat session or leg session or heavy yoke session, like going to do some passive hangs for the sake of getting some spinal decompression or traction or whatever. And you can do that with like hanging, I've got quite a few people who've really improved the grip at the minute, and they've done like a bit of a progression on the passive hangs. The passive hangs got really easy in terms of duration that they're doing it. So they're like adding weight via a dipping belt, and it's crazy. Like and also as well, it keeps it interesting. And say again.
Say on the double overhand dead, it's important to note that when we're saying like warm up with double overhand dead, I don't mean like just do some like say you were doing 200 kilo for 5x5 in straps. Yeah. I don't do a few singles on the way up double overhand. I might actually program someone 120 5x5 before they go up.
Yeah.
Adds benefit to the session because it gets everything warmed up properly, because oftentimes people rush top sets, yeah, and my third set felt better than my first set, and it's like, well, you probably didn't do enough work on the way up. So it's adding volume, building skill, as well as training your grip, and then when you go to your top sets, they usually feel better because you can iron out any positional issues at the double overhand work. So yeah, I don't just mean like do a few singles on the way up and hold them. I mean like actually program double overhand deadlift, stupidly light, obviously, and then just linearly progress it. And you'd be surprised how you can go, really, won't you? You know, you can, yeah. What about point number 2 then, Josh? What would you give for point number 2?
Again, for me, specificity is important. Like again, with anything, but talking about grip, I see people. For example, I see people who are like, say, right, I've got a comp with like, say, farmers holding or frame holding 6 weeks time. My grip, I really need to improve my grip. It's not as good as my other events. And then for the volume stuff, they're doing like a lot of work with, like, say, they might be doing like pinch grip, or they might be doing like double overhand axle and stuff like that. Like I'm a massive believer that you should, like it. They're very, very different. Like, for example, someone like me is like, I'd say for the level I compete, I've got a decent grip with like farmer's hold, frame hold, Hercules or whatever, with non-rotating handles. But go to like a double overhand axle, I'm not very good. And I just basically feel that if I did a phase of improving the double overhand like axle and really force some progression on that, like I'm not convinced that there'd be major carryover to at the expense of doing like, say, the farmers holds and stuff like that with the specific implements, like the thinner diameter holds. I mean, I'm not convinced that the carryover would be that great. So basically, I'm saying that I think you should like find out what the kind of thickness that you need to be for your comp, and then work pretty much around that. Like try and get some handles that are within 10. Do the majority of your work within 10% of that kind of diameter, because your technique and where it sits and stuff in your hands will be different. I mean, you'd be working subtle different muscle groups. Like I'm not a grip I'm not a grip guy. I don't profess to be, but I know what works for me and for people that I coach that have got good at. Like what the grip that comes up in strongman is mostly going to be around that kind of narrow diameter grip, isn't it? Like on a farmer's hold, frame hold or whatever. And you might get the odd thing that you have to take a different approach to, like say if it's rotating handles on a Hercules or something like that, or say you come to like a thick grip hold, like a double overhand axle. I think it'll be slightly different approach to the farmers stuff. But basically, hammer your grip with the with stuff similar to that. So like you've said, like I find that say if you're training for a general farmer's hold or frame hold, like doing the passive hangs on a like kind of standard like pull-up bar or whatever are generally really good, because it's basically going to be the similar hand position technique. Does that make sense, Shane? Yeah. But obviously you get in there. I think that's a lovely simple little program for people who just want to apply is like go heavy on like say your farmer's holds and your frame hold, and then do some work on the hangs, and you're going to get that kind of, you're going to be able to go heavy and get that compressive force in your spine, and then get that traction that's going to work really nicely together.
Hang is just fucking a class edition, to be honest with you, because you could do it before your overhead day to open up your position, but as a grip benefit at the start. So again, that's like a simple way of adding frequency. Is like, well, how can I like it? Overhead day, we'll do a passive hang, and maybe if you're doing log, do it neutral grip passive hang. Then you've just trained your grip, but you've primed yourself for your log next, and then
yeah. In fact, try this next time you do your overhead session, especially guys who struggle with the say you're really strong from the rack to overhead, but then you struggle to hold it overhead, or say sometimes you'll force your overhead position, you'll hold it overhead, and then you might get a bit of lower back pain because you're arching to get that kind of position. Try that before your next overhead session. What Shane said, if you're doing log, go neutral grip, passive hang, and then try and get to help you get the right kind of torso position. Just bring your knees up towards your chest a little bit, just to make sure that you're keeping your ribs down, and then and really focus on like trying to open up at the upper spine and open up that shoulder position, and let us know how your overhead position feels after doing that, whether it feels any better and you're getting that grip stimulation. So basically just doing, say on your deadlift day, you're adding your double overhands, really submaximal 5x5 that Shane said, and then your overhead day you add in your these passive hangs to open up the overhead position before your overhead. And then on your moving days, you're doing like, say on your events day or whatever, you're doing farmers anyway. Like you've got a really solid 3 times a week program there. That third, go on.
Oh, doesn't it? Just slots in nicely, like it doesn't interfere with anything. It's just
yeah.
That's
the key. And if you're somebody listening who feels like, I'm not going to do this because this isn't relevant to me because I'm not doing the English qualifier or whatever. Like, this is what I'll generally do with people all year round, or in their off-season program, or when they're not peaking for a comp. Like, I'll put grip in every week, but I haven't there's not many people that I've coached that turn around to me and say, "Oh, fucking love grip. I can't wait to peak my grip and go for this," or whatever. Like, people seem to be more interested on different lifts, to be honest. So I find it's really important to, as a coach.
Parker, but Sam Parker loves it, doesn't he?
But if you like, we as a coach, I think me and Shane want to put it in there if people don't have a specific comp to train for, we almost want to sneak it into the program without them thinking that they're doing it, and just basically just build it up a little bit without it being like, a fuck's sake, I've got a training grip today or whatever. Like, I'd rather be doing this. Just sneak it into your program somewhere, and just like Shane says, like, what do you say? Like 5x5 at 120 or something. And then next week do 5x5 at 125. Week after, just a simple linear progression, and you're going to feel the progress, but it's going to feel easy.
I'll put that because I do that myself. I'll put that on first for my first set. So I won't even do 70, to be honest, because I know I'm going to be doing a couple of sets at 120 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll overhand it. First set feels a little heavy on my hips and whatnot because I've just come in and done it, and then by the time I've done my 5th set, everything's feeling real good. So I've warmed up, but I've also done my grip. Instead of doing like 70, 120, 140 in straps or whatever, I've just basically done it all double overhand, and then I can go up a bit quicker, in my straps to my top sets. So yeah.
Other tip as well. We'll call it the third tip, final tip for today. I'm a massive fan of doing really high elevated hold. So if you can get your farmers right on a high block, so the pickup is easy, and it's just basically going to allow you to recover whilst accumulating volume at like quite high percentages, because it's going to be truly taxing on the grip without frying your back. So if you're doing all your pickups from the floor with the view of really developing your grip, you'll find that very often with some people with most people, it's actually like, say if you're, I don't know, say you're a 320 deadlifter or whatever, and you can do 160 farmers pretty comfortably. Like doing, say, 3 sets of 3 sets of 20-second holds at 140 each hand, picking up from the floor, it is gonna like take away from your recovery bank account. So if you just elevate those up a little bit and make it easy for your nervous system to recover from, but you're still getting to handle those heavier weights. Does that make sense, Shane? Fucking hell.
Yeah, we actually did that last week. I tried it for the first time. It felt really good because the thing I'm noticing, obviously, with my gammy hand, is I'm finding this weird thing where if I can pick it up and feel solid holding, I can almost hold it for like 30 seconds or so. But there's just this threshold where I just can't do it. Basically, like it's not linearly dropping. I'm not going 30 seconds, 25, 20, 50, you know what I mean? It's going 30, 5. So I wanted to do some heavier holds to get me used to, squeezing at those heavier weights. So I raised the farmers up, and the next day I didn't feel like it had taken away from like my back or anything. I just could tell my hands had a good session. So I am actually going to be keeping them in myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, and one final little bonus thing, actually. Like I'm a fan of super maximal hold. So actually using like say straps to go heavier than what your grip's capable of. Not necessarily all the time, because it's going to be a little bit more taxing. But if you can go to like 110% of your max and use straps, what you'll do is you'll find an efficient. You'll probably feel you'll do the pickup, and then you'll often feel like your body moving around for 2 or 3 seconds to find like a point where it feels comfortable to almost like basically where your joints are stacked on top of each other. And if you get better at that position with copying that position with the sub-maximal weights, you're going to be more efficient. And it's a thing that I noticed with Tim Daglish in particular, with his grip. He obviously, from doing like say, I'm a massive believer that he's built his grip by doing say a lot of heavy straps deadlifts from different heights, and he's just got he can hold whatever at lockout with straps.
Strength, funny.
Pardon?
Max fingertip strength like that.
So like without directly training grip, I think it was about a year ago, he did like I think it was 200 each hand for 10 seconds, like 10-second hold without straps, and like without doing like a specific kind of peak. That was just like a bit of fun, really. But that's something that obviously he's got really good at when he's holding basically a heavier weight than his little skinny frames designed to hold. Like, it's
I know the point now, but this is another good one. It's only a quick one. This is something that works for me, and not so much on your farmers holds and all that shit, like your main specific stuff. But if you're going for frequency, train it first. That's my tip. Train it first. Walking, if you shit a grip or you want to improve thing, train it first. So that's why I like the passive hangs and double overhand dead, because you're training first. But if you say to yourself, right, I'm going to do some passive hangs today, I'll do them at the end of the session. Yeah. And then smoke your deads, you do this, you do that. You're just going to go fucking, well, I know, I just go home or I don't put much effort in. If I come in, like, I'm never going to skip my deads, am I? I come in, I do my grip because it's my weakness. I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. So I do it first and then I crack on.
Yeah.
Obviously, farmers holds and stuff, you're more likely to, it's more of a main lifting it, but like your bullshit accessory grip, do it because you won't do it otherwise. or if you do it, you'll fucking be like, oh, I'm doing my captain's a crush or whatever, I can't be arsed, and you'll fuck off.
Oh, one last thing to wrap up: hand care. If you're like hammering it and you're like, oh shit, I'm 6 weeks away from this comp, and so I need to hit it 3-4 times a week, and you almost panic training it pretty heavy, and you're like, right, I want to train my grip, my forearms feel good, I want to train again tomorrow, but my calluses are fucked, my hands are sore, I just can't, it's just hurting too much to hold them. So have a look at, you can get like callus shavers and like keep calluses down, blah, 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 blah. But another simple fix for that is rotating implements ever so slightly. So you might find that that's actually you can't hold bloody 30 kilo farmers in your hand because you feel like your callus is gonna tear. But you could go to like a hook grip, and it might be completely pain free. Or you might put the fat grip handles on, and you get a training stimulus. Or you might put your straps on and do a super maximal thing, and your calluses don't hurt. So yeah, so that's another little tip. So we're giving about fucking, yeah. Right. See you later. Diddly dim dim. Boom.